What's going on, everyone? So it does look that Tabitha getting to the real world was indeed the boy in white's plan. So the boy in white was the one that pushed Tabitha out of the lighthouse after Tabitha ended up believing she was on her way to save the children, that she needed to go through the bottle tree, ended up going through the bottle tree to get to the lighthouse, got to the lighthouse where she would save the children, and the only child that was there was the boy in white, who pushed her out and said, this is the only way. She ends up in the real world. The boy in white even appears to her in the real world and ends up leading her down the path to ultimately find Henry. Now, a theory that I had many moons ago now was that the entire point of Tabitha getting out was to go get Henry. That Henry was going to serve a purpose and significance to some capacity, whether it's just to unlock Victor's memories or there's more to Henry that is needed, maybe to kind of fill in the role of Miranda in a way, whatever. We'll see. Maybe it's a bloodline thing. Who knows, right? That, I believe, is still going to be unraveled. That is still going to be unpacked. But Henry was brought for a reason. Now, we have more information after episode 8, right? It was relayed that the boy in white told the story to Christopher. It wasn't Jasper that told the story to Christopher. And the boy in white told Christopher that he needed to enter the tree in order to save the children. And Victor ends up telling Miranda, and it ends up getting Miranda killed, right? And so, if Miranda was never meant to go through the tree to save the children, right? She believes she was, which, by the way, the story isn't adding up and making sense. I don't want to, I want to dedicate a video independently to that. But it's kind of, the story's kind of all over the place right now. But I'll touch on that in another episode, another video. But clearly, Miranda was not meant to go through the tree, which means likely neither was Tabitha. Because Tabitha is kind of like the new iteration of Miranda. Jade is the new iteration of Christopher. So chances are Jade's the one that's probably going to have to go through the tree. So why didn't Tabitha die? We saw Dale thinking he was the hero and go through the tree and ended up dying. Right? Miranda ended up dying either by entering the tree and maybe she ended up falling like the rock, or she died beforehand. But either way, she was not the one that was meant to go to the tree. And also the way Victor reacted kind of makes it seem like she entered the tree and ended up dying, right? Like the rock, when Victor was showing Ethan the tree, right? And threw the rock in, and then the rock fell and splat. You could see that being Miranda, right? So, okay, then how did Tabitha survive? And if Tabitha's mission was to go save the children and she didn't complete that mission, what other thing could it have been other than Henry? It has to be Henry. I believe she was meant to go there to retrieve Henry and also gather information. Because why not just, like, as soon as she is with Henry, lure them to Fromville, right? Why give it as long as they did? Well, because you still want Tabitha to take in, right? Tabitha saw the painting. She learned about herself a little bit. She learned about Miranda, right? Like, she learned about the chosen ones and, and Miranda and her ability to essentially remote view this place, right? She was there to retrieve information and retrieve Henry to bring back to Fromville. Because, look, we have seen, they can just bring anybody whenever they want. So, why not just bring Henry? Like, if Henry's that important, because it wasn't important to Fromville. It was important to the boy in white, right? Think of how Tabitha ended up getting out. It was through the boy in white. How did Tabitha ultimately end up going the right direction to find Henry? She didn't know which direction to go. She was headed in the wrong direction. But then the boy in white appeared, led her down that path. She ends up going and following him. He ends up disappearing. She continues down the path. She ends up finding the little swap meet, outdoor swap meet. Ends up ultimately, going to the church after calling her mother. And then the priest asks her about the lunchbox randomly. And lo and behold, there is the the address of Henry in the lunchbox, and no, like, who knows if he's dead, if he's alive, if Henry is, even still living there, right? Like, again, it only makes sense if the boy in white was the one to do it. The boy in white got her out. The boy in white, we know, talks to Victor. A lot of people don't believe Victor was smart enough to put the address in and do all that stuff. But the boy in white is. Victor, that lunchbox was his, safety blanket. He carried that lunchbox everywhere. He never, he used it to store things and do everything. That was his thing. And he was just so willing to give it to Tabitha. What if the boy in white said, hey, give it to Tabitha. Tabitha is going to go through the tree. I'm going to bring her. I'm going to get her to the real world. And I'm going to bring back your father. Or I'm going to bring back, maybe he didn't tell him the father, because maybe Victor wouldn't have done that, right? Maybe, it's just maybe, right? Because I think if the boy in white said, hey, I'm going to bring back Henry, I think, one, Victor wouldn't have been shocked. And two, I don't know if Victor would have done it. So maybe the boy in white didn't actually tell Victor the plan, just kind of was like, hey, you need to give Miranda the lunchbox. Or, maybe Victor really did just, out of the kindness, give it to the lunchbox. The boy in white would have known that, right? The boy in white would have known, oh, hey, she's got the lunchbox. Let her, I'm going to lead her down the path to go get Henry. And then as soon as they are in a car together, guess what? Boom, now you're in Fromville. I think that they would have ended up in Fromville regardless, right? I think no matter what, they were heading to Fromville. Right? It just, they ended up stopping, they ended up getting in a car accident, and then ending up in the ambulance. So it was okay, well, now we gotta, really go. I think the boy in white needed Tabitha to open the door, right? Because how obviously the boy in white can appear and disappear and, relay information and all that stuff, but how much power does the boy in white have? How much ability does the boy in white have? Right? Can he just bring people into Fromville at will? Or does he need a tether? Right? To me, Tabitha was the tether. Tabitha was the piece needed to kind of get him linked. So the boy in white kind of links himself to Tabitha, hitches the ride through to the real world through Tabitha. Now it's but the boy in white is still linked to Fromville. So Tabitha grabs Henry, boy in white essentially grabs Tabitha, and then they all go to Fromville together, right? Kind of like how Fromville just kind of grabs people, takes them to the tree, boom, they're there. Fromville didn't want Henry, because if Fromville wanted Henry, they could have brought him at any point, right? But the boy in white, best friends with Victor, boy in white, trying to help. Victor's trying to unlock memories. Victor's trying to learn some stuff. Victor's trying to figure some stuff out here. Okay, well, his father could maybe help in that regard. His father could be a big help in that regard. I just think that is even more confirmed now than ever, in my opinion. I had the theory, I had the idea as soon as we saw that, especially after Henry was if you were chosen like her, how did you escape, right? If her mission was to save the children and that was how she was going to get out, she didn't do that. Her mission did not get completed. It wasn't even close, right? The Nkui kids still are appearing to her, as we saw, even when she got back, right? So clearly she is far from over. Her mission is far from done. So then how was she able to get there, and why would she come back? Why would Fromville bring her back? Why does Fromville care if she comes back or not? Right? If her mission is to try to go save it, right? Save the children. Wouldn't she kind of want, if you're Fromville and you don't want her to spoil the plans, wouldn't you want her kind of out? Right? I really do believe more than ever that it was Henry. I always kind of had the idea, kind of always had the theory. I think after episode 8, I think we got the confirmation that it's Henry. But do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you kind of mixed in the middle still? Do you think, we still need more information? It might not be something that's ever fully confirmed. Unless the boy in white's yeah, I sent you there to go get Henry. Right? It's probably never going to be fully confirmed. But Anyway, again, I really feel whatever your thoughts are. I love to hear it either way. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.